Oh hi, getting started in about 10 minutes. If you have story suggestions, throw the links into Discord. https discord gg beignet tridix 8
Oh, hi. Hello. How you doing? My name is Waldo, and I am here to feel the politics with you and with Bo. Here he is, Bobo, the baby bark boy. We have so many politics to talk about today, and it's Saturday, so Thomas is here. Hi, Thomas. How you doing?
Hello.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
except for I made a terrible mistake on Thursday that I'm still paying for.
Oh, no. Was it drinking related? I make that
No,
mistake sometimes.
no. So I've never been in a tanning bed or like red light therapy room or anything like that before, right?
Okay.
And I recently joined Planet Fitness with their Black Card, which has like perks that come with like being able to use their tanning beds and red light therapy and
Mm-hmm.
whatnot, right? The
Mm-hmm.
massage chairs and stuff. And I asked to use the red light therapy machine, and they gave me like the glasses to wear and whatnot for that. I went back there, and the roommate told me, walk inside, take off my shirt. I step in the machine, close the door, press the power button,
Mm-hmm.
and red lights do not turn on. Instead, very bright white lights turned on.
Okay.
And I was like, I am not in a red light therapy machine. I am in a tanning bed.
All right.
And well, for a man as pale as me, it turns out 5 minutes in a tanning bed is a long time. And
Mm-hmm.
I am quite red right now.
Okay. Lobster Red Thomas. It's
Yes.
very appropriate. I appreciate you committing to the bit of uh, supporting the red team so thoroughly that you turned your skin red. It's brave of you to do so. Uh,
Yes.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna start eating a bunch of colloidal silver to turn my skin blue,
Ah, well,
and that way we
you
can.
gotta get, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say that way we can more thoroughly promote our sides. I think
I
that's
see.
the only
Yes.
logical conclusion.
How did it ever come about that red was the color of the Republican Party when
I don't
usually
know.
it's used for communism?
I mean, it is also used for communism. It's used in most flags. I mean, most flags have some sort of red. I mean, it is a very common color. Um, how did those colors get chosen? I have no idea. That's probably some sort of history thing that we could dive into, but I do not off the top of my head know.
Okie doke.
Okay, so that's okay. That sounds fun. Tanning bed, had a good time. How's the rest of the gym life? I've never been. It's a terrible place that I'm terrified of.
It's good. I'm just trying to get back in shape. So,
Okay. Yeah, I have a very thorough exercise routine. It's outside of the gym. Do you want to hear it?
is it lifting the bottle up to your mouth and then
No,
back?
that on the weekends I
Oh,
can do that, but on Monday, I fly off the handle. On Tuesdays, I dodge responsibility. On Wednesdays, I run my mouth. On Thursdays, I pass the buck, and on Fridays, I dip out early.
nice.
That is my entire workout routine, and it seems to be working pretty well. I should put that on a plaque or something. I just have it sitting on my desk at work so that everybody will know what I'm doing today.
Yeah. Or you could sell it on Amazon
Or sell it on
on one of those
Amazon or
dreaded
sell it on
tablets.
Etsy. Yeah, I could sell it on one of those things. Embroider it into a pillow, 3D print it. KBP does,
I made it.
the KBP made it. Yeah, there you go. Wait, did you make it for me? No. Am I thinking of a thing? Did you, KBP could make it on a 3D
Why does
printer or something?
Biden always want to shake Casper the Ghost's hand after a speech?
Uh, bec Cottonmouth, is it because he is so close to death? He's got the Reaper's bony hand on his shoulder. I don't know. Is this a joke? If it's a joke, hit us with the punchline, and we'll take a look at it. Yeah, I could probably have KBP make it up for me, um, or a plaque or something like that. I know he's very crafty. That KBP guy. He can make things. He's a tinker.
Making a deal with death.
Yeah, he's making a deal with death. Yeah, something along those lines. That's what I was thinking. KBP. So let me see. What are we doing today? Today. is Saturday. I've got a whole list of politics stories to talk about. I've put them. I think I sent them all to you, except for the ones that were already like in the general on Discord. I don't think I sent those to you because they were already in the general. So I think Zayla sent us something about Jared Kushner, which I wouldn't mind
Whatever
taking a
drugs
look
the
at.
big guy gimme my 10 takes for his memory loss, they need to double the dosage.
And we can talk about that. And if you want to be as cool as Zayla, go to the Discord, tell us what stories to talk about, and we'll talk about them.
Discord. https discord gg beignet tridix 8.
So, if you got a story, if you got a link, if you got something interesting to politics about, send it there. We'll take a look, and we'll tell you how we feel about it. That way you can be a part of the stream, and then it's interactive, you see. That's the greatest part about this internet thing, is it's so interactive. I am going to turn off Our Lady Canooch, because it's that time. And then we'll get started on that first story that I think is important. Let's go. All right. Canooch is off. Feel free to hop into chat and tell us how you feel. And let's get the thing going. Webcap screen. Here we go. We go there. We turn on the window capture. Go here. We click on our buttons. And then, boop. There it is. This is economics news, so I'm going to need your help, Thomas, with the economics here. Trump's Truth Social company completes merger that could net him over $3 billion. Is this real? Is it going to happen?
It could.
It could. Okay.
I mean, he owns a substantial amount of Truth Social.
Mm-hmm.
And who are they merging with?
I don't remember. But I think there's still a deal that keeps him from immediately selling his shares.
Well,
So
right.
it's not going to
So
happen
even
soon.
yeah. So what I think is happening here is he's got a $500 million bail to post, right?
Uh-huh.
So by merging his company with whoever it's with
Digital
with
World
Dwack.
Acquisitions.
Yeah. So he's
Corporation.
merging Truth with Dwack,
Mm-hmm.
which is already a publicly traded company.
Mm-hmm.
The way that works is basically Dwack is going to merge with Truth Social, or rather the Trump Media and Technology Group. They're buying them out, basically. Most likely what will happen is that the private shares of the Trump Media Group are going to be converted into equivalent amounts of Dwack shares.
Mm-hmm.
So he will then have shares of a publicly traded company, which are easier to buy and sell than, privately held shares of a company, right? And yes, as an insider, or even as a majority shareholder and whatnot, there are a lot of rules about when you can sell your shares, how much you're allowed to sell all at once. Like, it gets real sticky, right? Mm-hmm. However, what this does do is, if this goes through, and they merge, and he has a whole bunch of shares of a publicly traded company, what he can now do is point to those shares as an asset, say, look, I have this asset, it's worth this much, and he can use it as collateral in order to get, a loan, basically, to
get that bond,
pay the bail.
So that
right.
Someone will be willing to float him that money so that he can
exactly.
Have it.
Yeah.
Is it going to
he's
be worth that much in a couple of years?
$3 billion? I doubt it.
Because there are people using the word meme stock to describe this.
Yes. Yeah. Which I'd say is probably fair.
Okay. Okay.
I don't think it'll be worth $3 billion, but crazier things have happened.
Yeah, he owns 58% of that stock. He thinks it's going to be worth that much, but I've seen people complaining, saying it's absolutely not going to be worth that much. It's going to drop immediately. the meme stock people are going to immediately sell so that they can make some money. Uh, then as all those people sell, it goes down, right? And then it won't be very favorable for loans.
Oh, right. But he doesn't need it to be worth 3 billion. He needs it to be worth 500 million.
Okay. But he needs that 500 billion because of the numerous acts of frauds and misrepresentation to inflate his net worth, but while lowering it for tax purposes. Is that not, in essence, what he's doing with this True Social stock? He's telling us that it's worth 3 billion. Probably not worth that much. So
Well,
he's
it'll
doing the
be
same thing he's always done.
well. So hold on. Once the deal goes through,
Mhm.
So basically, when they convert these shares to the DWAC shares, they're using the current valuation of DWAC to make that estimate, I assume.
Okay.
Right? He owns 58% of the Trump Media Group, however much that's valued at, and in the actual deal, there's going to be a conversion of this amount of DWAC shares in return for this amount of Trump Media, right?
Mhm.
So you actually can place a dollar value on that, where if
Okay.
you say, all right, DWAC shares are valued at, actually, let me look at that real quick.
Oh, yeah. Let's find out how much they're worth at the moment.
So currently, DWAC shares are worth $37 a share.
37.
Right?
Okay.
Yeah. So could Trump realistically get, I don't know, what is, do a calculator real quick. Divided by, that's a lot of shares. So he would have to get basically 81 million shares of DWAC.
81 million. That's a lot.
In order to net $3 billion.
Okay.
Right.
Or drive the price up because they acquired the Truth Social thing and then everybody loves it and then that increases their stock price. Yeah. That's what he's hoping for, I would assume.
Yeah, that's probably
Everybody wants stocks
the
to go up.
angle
Yeah.
there.
Okay.
They only have, in terms of shares outstanding, find out. Oh yeah, this ain't netting him $3 billion. There's no way.
Okay.
Freaking entire company, the DWAC company is only worth 1.4 billion right now.
The entire company's worth 1.4 billion, so it's very unlikely that he's going to make 3 billion out of it. Okay. Okay. So that's part of the reason that the people are saying that it's not quite worth that much money. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah,
I mean, unless there's a pretty substantial cash payout, because that can happen with mergers too, right? Like a merger can involve a certain amount of stock conversion, and then on top of the stock conversion, there can also be a cash payout to the shareholders of the bought company.
Okay.
I don't know how much money DWAC has on the books right now to actually make that happen, but yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay? So that's the shocking news that came out the other day. But we're going to continue on this amazing Trump money train and talk about the dumbest thing he could have done. Experts say that Trump's big True Social brag could backfire in court. As usual, he says something that is just the opposite of what his lawyers say, and that tends to keep getting him in trouble. He bragged about all the money he had. Now he can't claim hardship to get a stay on the 500 million stuff because he said I have 500 million in cash. Because he is uncontrollable. Man, Donald Trump is uncontrollable. He doesn't.
He brought the all caps.
He brought the all caps. Through hard work, talent, and luck, I have currently almost 500 million in cash. He said it. a substantial amount of which I intend to use in my campaign for president. The often overturned political hack judge on the rigged and corporate AG case, where I have done nothing wrong, knew this, wanted to take it away from me, and that's him, not me, why he came up with the shocking number, which coupled with his crazy interest demands is approximately 454 million. So he's telling us that he has 500 million. His lawyers are saying he does not have that much and can't and won't
Oh, we got raided.
put that. Oh my goodness. That's one of
Hello.
those. Nah, it looks like one of those hate raids, isn't it? Or is this just a raid? Yeah, it's just, I don't know what that is. Traded by TM. Rated by TM. Who's TM? What's that? And are they saying anything cool? Oh, this is free followers or something like that. We're gonna probably just ban that.
Yeah, these are all weird. Like
It's
someone
a
smashed their
robot.
face on keyboard names.
It's a robot trying to get me to click on their links. So don't go to their links.
All they're saying is Trump greater than Joe.
Turn the friggin' frogs gay.
It gave us 100 something followers in a day.
Turn the friggin' frogs gay.
I don't know what to make of that. I'm not the smartest for streamer in the world.
Turn the friggin' frogs gay.
So when I get immediately 100 followers, I don't know what to do with it.
Is that supposed to like mess with the Twitch algorithm and get you like higher up in the recommendations or something?
If I understand, if I look at this guy, he wants me to go to their website to pay them. I don't think that's a good idea.
Their Discord.
Turn the friggin' frogs gay.
What's going on here?
Turn the friggin' frogs gay.
I have no idea what's going on.
Turn the friggin' frogs gay.
We don't do the Discord links, just an auto thing.
Turn the friggin' frogs gay. Turn the friggin' frogs gay.
A lot of gay
Okay, well, let's go back to talking about the news.
Yeah. We'll talk about the news. Maybe it'll benefit me. Maybe it won't. Maybe they'll go away. I don't know. Oh no. So the
friggin' frogs gay.
I have to turn this volume thingy off now because
Turn the friggin' frogs
old
gay.
AJ keeps saying they turn the friggin' frogs gay over and over again.
Turn the friggin' frogs gay.
So maybe this is beneficial, maybe it's not. I have to go into my robot now.
Turn the friggin' frogs gay.
There's my robot. There's my Twitch
Turn the
thingy.
friggin' frogs gay.
One sec, sorry guys. Because I can't hear anything other than Alex Jones saying turn the friggin' frogs gay. Okay, we go to
Turn the friggin' frogs
chatbots,
gay.
or is it widgets? I think it's
Turn the friggin' frogs gay.
profile. Nope.
Turn the friggin' frogs gay.
It's a lot of gay frogs. I hope they're proud of themselves. It's true, KBP.
Turn the friggin' frogs gay.
Come on, internet. Come on. You're killing me.
Turn the friggin'
Where
frogs
did I put
gay.
it? Commands. Nope. Alerts. There's alerts. Let's turn alerts off for the moment. Followers alert
Turn the friggin'
is
frogs gay. Turn the
active,
friggin' frogs
off,
gay.
save settings, and that should turn it off for now. We'll give it about 10 minutes and then we'll turn it back on. Okay. Whew. Jeez. All right. You can't hear that, can you?
No.
Okay, sorry. It's just Alex Jones saying the frog thing again and again and again forever. Maybe it's beneficial to me. Maybe it's not. And they'll disappear in a couple of days. So, sorry. Jeez. Thanks, everybody, for sitting through that. So, what have we got? We've got Donald Trump saying that he has $500 million. Is this a good idea to say while your lawyers are saying he doesn't have any money and we cannot post a bond?
Well, that sucks.
His lawyers recently told the appellate court he has no means to post a $454 million bond. One of them is lying, either himself or his lawyers, and you can expect the court to ask Trump's lawyers about this. So either Trump's lying about having $500 million, or his lawyers are lying to the court, saying that he has no way to pay this bond. If he has
Yeah.
it, then Fannie Willis is just gonna. Is it Fannie Willis? No, it's Letitia James. You're right. If he has it, Letitia James is simply going to uh, put a restraining order on his accounts and then take it, isn't she? That's what the state does when you owe them $500 million.
Possibly.
Okay.
And if he does have it, then most likely his lawyers will, I assume they'll be disbarred for
Right.
lying to the court.
Okay, so if they're lying, and I very much doubt that they are, I don't think that the lawyers would lie to the court. They're probably not going to do that. It's more likely that he's exaggerating, lying on social media, looking into the camera and saying things that aren't true, which is a habit he has.
Say that's probably more likely. Yeah.
Right? So he's just bragging, but his bragging is opposite of what his uh, uh, lawyers are saying, and that sounds insane to me. Like, why would you do that? Why would you do that? uh, uh, he's not a smart guy, I think.
I think it's part of the strongman persona thing. Like,
He can't be
it's a
seen as
bad
weak, yeah.
it's a bad look to be seen as like he plays a lot into his his wealth as one of his talking points, and then this judgment comes along saying, hey, you got to pay 500 million, and then his lawyers go, we don't have 500 million, and that is contrary to the whole, like, I'm worth $10 billion. I built that up over a lifetime of hard work, etc.
Mhm.
Yeah. That's pretty much what that is.
Yeah, he's doing the strong man, the important thing. Don't show any weakness, braggadocious kind of thing. And I think it's going to get him into legal trouble, because if he's got $500
It
million
could.
and he's
Yeah.
refusing to pay the state, they're going to seize all his accounts, and then they're going to tell us that they seized his accounts. And then I don't know. I don't think he has a plan here. I think he's just talking shit. Which
It
is
also may be the case that that $500 million is not his to spend in that way. It could be like an aggregate of like campaign funds and whatnot that are not necessarily in his accounts, right?
I have $500 million in cash.
Yeah.
Maybe that cash was given to him for the campaign, but it wouldn't be in cash, would it? It would be in.
Well, it'd be in a like a super PAC type deal,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
So even if that money is available to him for campaign spending, he may not have 500 million to spend on legal fees.
Right. There's going to be a separation. Hopefully,
Yeah.
there'll be some sort of separation. I'm not entirely sure that there will be or anything like that. I have a funny feeling he's just going to take all the money from the campaign or the RNC or the money that the donations give to him and pay off these bonds and these legal fees. I think that's what's going to happen. I think that's why his daughter-in-law is running the RNC now, so that she can make that happen. But that is me being a pessimist, and I don't mind being called a pessimist on that one. Let's see. Now you want to talk about the New York judge who allowed show trial to convict Trump, nothing in charge of 500 million law, which was never been used. The trial, well, it was only 20 million. Okay, Cottonmouth, my man. These are judges and lawyers. They're far more into it and interested and right than you and I are. And this is the setting this is the thing they've come up with. What is next? Next up is, okay, so this is a bit doomer, but I'm gonna read through it because it's kind of the things that I've been suggesting. This one, the 4 post-election scenarios, and not one of them is good. Did I send you this? I don't
No.
remember if I did. Did I not?
Oh wait,
Shit.
yes.
Okay,
I saw
yeah,
it.
it was late last night. The kid was on the computer playing the Vigi games and slowed me down. I only sent it to you late last night. But these are the situations that I think are correct. The 4 possible outcomes of this next election. So this guy, Bryn Tannehill takes a very doomer approach to it, and I think he's right in a couple of places, and I think he's wrong in a couple of places, and I would love to have your opinion on it, on some of these situations.
Let me find this link again. I did take a look at it. I just don't know where it is.
So, 4 situations. Number 1, Biden wins the popular vote and the Electoral College, and Democrats win the House. That is option number 1. Option number 2, Biden wins the popular vote and the Electoral College, but the Republicans win the House. Also possible. Option number 3, Trump loses the popular vote, but wins the Electoral College, like last time. And number 4, Trump wins the popular vote and the Electoral College. So those are our 4 kind of outcomes that this election can come to. I don't think that there's any other options, really, honestly. There are other permutations of this, but their odds are remote enough that they do not merit discussion. E.g., Biden loses the popular vote and wins the Electoral College. That seems unlikely. Democrats don't usually pull that off. The numbers aren't in their favor to lose the popular vote but win the Electoral College. That doesn't really happen for them. Number 1, Biden wins the popular vote and Electoral College, and Democrats win the House. This is the best case scenario for Democrats and probably the country. I agree. And it looks like a repeat of 2020. Trump and the Republicans will allege fraud and rigged elections. They'll try to block certification in the country, state, and federal levels, resulting in court cases that generally go nowhere. I think that's correct so far. Trump followers will be incited to violence, maybe, which is likely to be more successful than January 6th. This is where the doomer part comes in. I'm not entirely sure of this part. If Biden wins the popular vote and the Electoral College and Dems have the House, I don't think Trump's followers will do another Jan 6th. I don't think they will.
Be really stupid if they did.
Yeah. I don't think that they will. They're less. I mean, his fans are more devoted to him, but he has fewer of them. I mean, is that a fair statement? Do you kind of agree with that? Okay. He simply has fewer of them, which had the element of surprise. Okay. Even if the Senate is controlled by Republicans, there is still enough institutionalists who will vote to certify when Congress meets the joint session on January 6th. Yeah, I agree. Minority leaders like Mike Johnson may try to stop the incoming Democratic majority from being seated on January 3rd. I don't think he will, but he probably won't be able to because the Constitution doesn't allow him for him to refuse that. I don't think that, again, this guy is being doomer. He's saying Mike Johnson will not let the newly elected Democrats come into the House, and that I don't think that's going to happen. That seems shockingly unlikely. So this is the doomer bit. Thus, after chaos that looks a lot like 2020, only more intense, he thinks it's going to be more intense. I don't think it will be. Biden gets sworn in January 25 to govern the nation where over half the states, now I think this is going to happen, don't accept his legitimacy. Half the states aren't going to accept him. Red states will flout federal authority at every turn during a crackdown, much as Texas has done over Eagle Pass. Yep, I think that's going to increase. I think that's going to happen more and more and more and more and more. Things like the Texas problem at Eagle Pass. Do you think that's going to happen?
Well, I do think that certain states are kind of upset over the federal government's refusal to enforce its own laws. So they're, probably going to continue to do this and try to enforce them themselves.
They're upset the way that the federal government chooses to enforce that law.
Or lack thereof. Yeah.
Great. And they're fighting to suggest that they are allowed to do it. So this will continue.
Yeah, most likely.
The red states will flout.
You're going to see more of this, the stuff we'll talk about later with the Texas SB4 law and whatnot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. So option number 2. So that's best case scenario right there. Honestly, I literally think this is best case scenario. Biden wins. There's a little bit of protest and upsetness by the Super Trump fans. I don't think it'll get as bad as Jan 6th, and then the states will continue to push against the federal laws. That's the best we can hope for, honestly. Option number 2, I know that you're going to think that it's different, but best case scenario is different, and we'll cover your best case scenario here in just a minute. Biden wins the popular vote and electoral college, and Republicans win the House. So if Biden wins re-election by Republicans maintain control of the House, it's very likely that Speaker Mike Johnson will refuse to certify the election. Do you think that's going to happen? I don't think so.
No.
I think this guy's being doomer. I think this guy's exaggerating. Okay, so this is a left-leaning guy who's exaggerating. I don't think Mike Johnson will refuse to certify the election, invoking the 12th Amendment to decide the election. This lets the House of Representatives, the one elected in November, determine the outcome of each state gets one vote. The vote is decided by which party controls the majority of House seats elected by the state. Using that method, Republicans are virtually guaranteed to have 26 votes when Trump becomes president. I don't think this is going to happen. I think this guy's being a little over exaggerative. If Biden wins the popular vote and the electoral college, but the Republicans have the House, will Republicans fuck around and find out and break the rules or misconstrue the rules in this way? I don't think they will.
No, I think this guy is crazy.
Okay, great. I think he is incorrect about this, and then he talks about if that does happen, though, if it does happen, and I'm saying I don't think it will, he doesn't think the Supreme Court will take Biden's side. He thinks the Supreme Court will take the House's side in this. But since it technically follows the rules, as a result, most people in blue states are likely to reject the legitimacy of the gerrymandered House Republican majority, the president, and the Supreme Court. Governors in blue states will be under intense pressure from their constituents, particularly those who fear for their lives if Trump takes power again, to reject the legitimacy of Trump administration, which gives into its extreme agenda. I don't think this
hold
is
on.
happen.
Who fears for their life if Trump takes power again?
Trans people, gay people. The millions.
Are we going to start executing them in the streets?
Probably, yes. I think
ridiculous.
They're not going to be able to have freedom, and what happens in the place where they say you cannot wear certain clothing, you cannot present as something that isn't on your birth certificate? Violence.
It's not happening. It didn't happen last time. It's not happening this time.
They didn't plan for it.
Fearing
last time.
for your life over Trump taking office again is ridiculous.
He promised to deport 12 million people.
That is not the same thing as killing them.
They're going to be rounded up. Their property is going to be taken. They are going to be put on trains, and they are going to be sent somewhere that they don't live. And what if they say, no, I ain't going? State violence. He's promised to deport 12 million people. What if some of them say, no, I ain't going? What happens? They're forced. Force equals violence. I ain't going. The cops are going to drag you out. You're going to go kicking and screaming, and some people are going to die.
Okay, so
their fear for their lives.
Well, hold on a second. When you don't pay your taxes, eventually somebody is going to come looking for you. Oh, no, I ain't paying those taxes.
Yes.
Well, you have to.
Okay.
No, I'm not doing that.
Okay.
Okay, well, then you're going to go to jail.
Okay.
No, I'm not going to jail either. What happens?
Violence.
You're forced.
State violence.
I mean, yes,
state violence.
Sometimes it happens when you enforce laws.
State violence is what I'm talking about. I'm not disagreeing with you. If he says he's going to deport 12 million people, if he says you're not allowed to be trans anymore, if he says you have to comply with what's on your birth certificate, what happens if you don't? Law enforcement. And law enforcement is state violence.
You're sounding awfully libertarian here.
Maybe. If state violence is being used to prevent people from wearing clothes that they want to wear, that they're fearing for their lives. They're not saying, I don't think at the moment the trans people are complaining that the kill squads will go out, but they are complaining that if we do practice the freedom we want to practice the way we want to, law enforcement will be called, law enforcement will show up, and they might hurt us.
I very much doubt that law enforcement is going to be called over someone wearing addressed.
I mean, it was in the past,
It's
wasn't
not
it?
happening.
It did in the past. I mean, have you read about Stonewall? All the things that were happening in New York?
Is there a law on the books that prevents them from doing that? And will the law be passed if Trump is elected that prevents them from doing
There
that?
was back then. You could only wear 3 pieces of non-gender affirmed clothing. It really was the law. If you had 4 pieces of clothing that were not for your gender, you were arrested by the police in New York.
Well, that's interesting. Where'd that come from?
That was what the law used to be back in the 70s, or maybe it was the 60s, for Stonewall. I don't
Is
know
it no
all of the.
longer a law now?
It is no longer a law now because we have progressed. We've moved forward away from that thing. Uh,
Yeah, I'd say that's a stupid law.
okay, great. I agree. Is something like that going to happen?
No.
The trans people think that it might. They're suggesting that it might because of the school bathroom laws and the school laws and all the things that are being pushed by people like the Republicans in the South. They'll be forced back into the closet, and they don't like that. That seems to them like a lessening of their rights, and they don't want that.
I'm pressing X to doubt here.
Okay, that's fine. I think this is a very doomer situation as well. I don't think that. I think they're exaggerating somewhat, and to make us feel better about all this doomerism is a little puppy dog. Look at the puppy dog. He makes everybody happier and feel better about the impending genocides. All right, you are wet and you've been outside playing in the wet grass, aren't you? Yep, you're gross and muddy. All right, so yeah, situation 2 I don't think is very likely. It seems unlikely. So what we'll do is, so then yeah, he goes on to talk about how the blue states will fight against the improper Trump. Okay. Option number 3, Trump loses the popular vote but wins the electoral college. Now this one worries me a little bit. A repeat of 2016, it will highlight the ongoing weakness of the Electoral College, having put Republicans who lost the popular vote in office again for the 3rd time in 3 out of the last 7 elections, and 3 out of the 4 total times that a Republican has won in that span. Okay, so yeah, it keeps happening. Donald Trump got fewer votes, and won the Electoral College in 16. Same for Bush, and same for, what didn't it happen a different time? This would be the 3rd time. Let's see. But it's a win without cheating or deliberately breaking the system. This will blunt the resistance to Trump, and I think he's right about that, along with the belief that the government is illegitimate. There will be protests, to be sure, but so long as Trump doesn't choose to have protesters massacred, they will fizzle out as they did in 2017. So this guy it's like, as long as he doesn't, he's saying he's not going to, as long as he doesn't choose to have them massacred.
Where do you find these articles from people like this? This is ridiculous.
This is the extremism. This guy is extreme. I agree. This outcome is the hardest to predict. I kind of agree with that. Trump will absolutely let his team attempt to implement Christian nationalism across the U.S. and every means available to achieve its vision of America with no immigrants, no trans people, no Muslims, no abortion, no birth control, Russian-style don't say gay laws, license to discriminate based on religion, all government education funding going to religious schools. Blue states will try to resist and invoke the same states' rights and dual sovereignty arguments that the red states in scenario 1, but unlikely they will succeed due to conservative bias on the Supreme Court and Trump administration's willingness to blow off court rulings it doesn't like.
All right, I don't think this is happening either. Yeah. Wow.
This is the immigrant thing. We just talked about that a minute ago.
If Trump goes straight to a massacre via the Insurrection Act.
Yeah. If Trump goes straight to a massacre via the Insurrection Act, civil war is on the table. I mean, that's not an incorrect sentence, I think. I think the sentence is correct. It's implying that this is a possibility. I don't think it's a possibility. You know what I mean?
Right.
If he does massacre a whole bunch of Americans via the Insurrection Act, civil war is on the table. It's just that's a big if right there. That if is really large. That is a very large if, you know? And it doesn't seem like, I don't think that they would. Uh, it's highly unlikely that Trump and Christian nationalist allies will allow a soft secession. Well, nobody. Why would there be a secession? Again, this guy is extreme. Okay, so let's move on to number 4. Trump wins the popular vote and the Electoral College. If Trump wins the popular vote, he will most inevitably win the Electoral College, given how much it favors Republican candidates. If he wins this way, it will remove most discussion of whether the presidency is legitimate, when it clearly is, based on the rules set forth by the law and the Constitution. Certainly his actions will be highly unpopular, but the outcome minimalizes the antibodies, in quotes, raised against his administration. Certainly there will be protests, but as long as he doesn't massacre protests again, it will be hard to convince anyone in Democratic leadership to reject the legitimacy of the federal government. Even most Democrats voters are likely grudgingly admitting the legitimacy of a second term and will dampen willingness to resist even as Christian nationalism seeps and democracy dies. Well, yeah, I think this is the worst case scenario. Well, it's less chaotic, but it's a worse outcome, I suppose. Because that means that the American people chose to welcome all of the terrible ideas I think he has and accept all of the bad things that are going to come along with him.
No, Trump. I mean, look, the Republicans with Trump at the helm held the House and Senate and the executive branch the first time Trump was elected, and all they passed was tax reform. They pretty much didn't do shit other than that.
Okay. And you're right, they didn't do a whole lot of stuff. And I'm worried that's because they didn't think that they were going to win, and they couldn't get the people in charge. What if they've been planning to do all the stuff they promised for the past 4 years?
They don't have the support from Republicans themselves even to do it. Like, yeah, you've got the MAGA people that are further to the right than the standard Republican Party, but there aren't enough of those in the House and Senate, and there still won't be after the election, even if the Republicans take all three, the executive, the House, and the Senate. Even if they take all three of those, the moderate ones or the more moderate ones are still going to hold the overwhelming majority, and the stuff that this guy is saying is going to happen. It's just not going to happen.
I worry that those moderate Republicans you're talking about will vote for every single thing that Marjorie Taylor Greene brings up. Every single thing that Gates brings up, they'll vote for because party line. They toe the party line. They will vote for all the Republican bills. They will follow all the Republican bills, and they will push every single thing that any Republican says, no matter how far right they are.
Not a chance. No, those guys have already ostracized themselves. Like, look, when they get up to talk, when Marjorie Taylor Greene gets up to talk, the Republicans, the more moderate ones, they're quiet about it, but they're rolling their eyes. Like,
and that leads into our next idea. They're leaving. Those moderate ones that you're talking about are leaving. I'm jumping right into the next story, but what have we got? We've got, no, not that. Another Republican has resigned early. Mike Gallagher will resign early, leaving House Majority hanging by a thread. He's a moderate who's leaving because he's had enough of this, of the Maytags and the Gateses and the crazy hard right-wing people. They have more power now that he's gone. And the regular ones are going to leave. All those moderates that you're talking about that are going to hold them into account are not going to be there.
Well, not necessarily. I mean, he's resigning early, meaning that someone's got to be elected to fill his seat. Could be that there's just another moderate that's elected there.
If we're lucky. If we're unlucky, it'll be another hard right-wing crazy person.
Maybe.
Mike Gallagher, Republican of Wisconsin, who announced last month he would not run for re-election, will resign from Congress early. He confirmed on a statement on Friday. Gallagher's departure before the end of his term in January is another blow to Speaker Mike Johnson's House Republicans, who have been struggling to govern and demonstrate stability in his Congress. Two sources familiar with the matter told NBC News of Gallagher's plan to resign early on Friday. Extraordinary work in the House and courageously exposing the threat Beijing poses to the U.S. Gallagher informed Johnson of his decision. He's already pretty far right. Let's see. So, yeah, they barely have a lead now. I don't think that you'll get a moderate to replace him. I'm worried that they won't get a moderate to replace him, and that the moderates are all going to just abandon ship. They've made everything they can. They've taken all the money they can out of this. They've taken all the decency they can, and they're just going to bounce.
Did that article happen to have reasons for why he left?
Not exactly. A source close to Gallagher said his decision to leave was in the works and not related to anything happening in the House lately. Gallagher has a young family, and he and his wife hope to grow, and the House schedule is not conducive to that. Gallagher, 40, an Iraq War veteran, is the chairman on the Select Committee investigating the Chinese Communist Party and serves on the Intelligence Committee. It's highly unusual for a committee chairman to resign in the middle of a term. Gallagher, an institutionalist, which means he's one of those middle-of-the-road moderates that you're talking about. First elected to Congress 2016, has grown frustrated with his own party. He was one of 3 Republicans who voted against the impeachment of Alejandro Mayorkas last month. So he was one of several top Republican chairmen who are not running for re-election in November, but he's bouncing. Yeah, so I hope the crazy guy who we just read all his horrible doomer news isn't correct. I hope that those things don't happen. I hope things don't go terribly wrong. But I'm worried that they might.
Well, I mean, sure. You can be worried about that.
Okay. Is there any... Okay, so what do you think is going to happen? I'm turning the alerts back on.
I think
we'll give the 4 scenarios. Joe Biden wins the Electoral College and the House. What happens?
Things continue on the same way that they did when Biden was first elected and had the House.
I agree. Seems like things will just keep cruising on exactly as they have been.
Yeah,
kind of conservative, if you ask me.
Look, I mean, for at least 2 of these scenarios where Democrats have full control of the government and Republicans have full control of the government, with both of these guys at the helm, we have history to look back on and say, well, this is what happened last time. That's probably what's going to happen again this time if that happens. I don't foresee any major departures from the previous times that this happened.
Okay.
It might be the case that the Republicans get a little more done this time around if they win.
Mm-hmm.
I do recall that the Affordable Care Act was almost overturned, or not overturned, but substantially changed.
Mm-hmm.
But for the no vote from John McCain,
right,
who is no longer with us.
Right.
So
if they get that done, then they've done a thing.
Yeah,
I think that's
they might be able to do. They might be able to do 1 or 2 more things than they did last time, which was pass the tax reform.
Okay, so they'll get more tax reforms. They'll finally get rid of that thing. Okay, but not the sprawling, screaming nightmare.
Yes,
Christian
no,
nationalism.
We're not implementing the right-wing Christian death squads.
Okay,
it's not happening.
Okay, I'm gonna hold you to that. We're not implementing the right-wing Christian death squads. When those do, I'm gonna come back and yell at you. You know that, right?
Okay. Yeah.
when the hard right-wing Christian death squad start executing trans people in the street, I'm going to come and ask you about it. Okay. I'm
Yeah, you got
glad
it.
we got that.
I'll be happy to answer questions on the
Okay,
subject.
excellent. Uh, I'm glad we got that nailed down. So, option number 2, Biden wins the college, the popular vote, but the Republicans keep the House.
Well,
Is that any different than the first situation? I don't think it is.
yeah, it is. And I mean, again, we have history to look back on of history that we're currently living, where
Mhm.
Republicans have the House and Biden and the Democrats have the Senate and the executive branch.
Mhm.
So again, that happens, and we continue on exactly how we've been
Okay.
doing things for the last year or so.
Okay. So, and I think we both agree that Mike Johnson tossing out the entire electoral college is not a thing that's going to happen.
No, there's
Okay.
no shot.
Okay, I agree. It was almost a car accident outside my house. Sorry, distracted. There's 2 cars honking at each other as they almost slam into each other. The dogs are going nuts. Okay. Option number 3. Uh, Trump wins the electoral college but loses the popular vote.
That happened the first time.
I know. What happens then?
We had-
So yeah, we already covered that. So he's just going to get a few more tax things done. He's going to get uh, Obamacare killed finally, and then that's it. He's not going to
well,
deport the 12 million people. He's not going to.
so losing the or losing the popular vote could imply also that he wins the electoral college, but they don't manage to take the Senate.
Mhm.
And or if they don't manage to take the Senate, they also might even lose the House in that case, as well. So there could still be one of the legislative branches that is blue as opposed to having all 3 be red.
Okay.
Um, in which case we would just have the inverse of what we've got going on right now.
The inverse of what we got going on right now. So
Yeah.
what do you think? Donald Trump pushes for investigations of all. He fills the. I'm worried that he's going to fill the DOJ with people that believe him and not facts, reality, and the law, and they just do what he says. Is that not a thing that's going to happen?
We kind of discussed this on a different stream.
Mhm.
I don't think that's within the realm of possibility. I think that there's too much bureaucracy involved in getting that done
Mhm.
to actually make substantive changes in the amount of time he's going to have.
Okay. I hope that the thing that I'm worried about doesn't happen.
Yeah, I mean, it is unbelievably difficult to actually fire, certain government contractors and government workers and whatnot. It's a long process to get that done. People are pretty entrenched.
Yeah. But those are rules, laws, and regulations. What if the person
Yeah.
he puts in charge doesn't care about those rules, laws, and regulations and just changes them?
Well, they still get enforced, or there are penalties involved in flouting them.
Who enforces those penalties? The government enforces those penalties. And the government appreciates what that guy did in removing the regulation. He'll call it deregulation, and the Republicans will love it. I'm cutting regulation. I'm removing all of the entire deep state, and they'll eat it up. They'll love it. The voters, anyway.
No, the courts will block it.
Okay. I hope you're right, but I think the courts are going to get filled with his fans too.
Well, again, the president has the power to appoint new judges, but
Mhm.
does not have the power to remove judges once appointed.
Okay.
So all the judges that are currently in the court system are there. He only has the power to nominate judges to fill seats.
Okay. Hypothetical. Donald Trump wins the electoral college. He wins the popular vote. He has the House. He has the Senate. He appoints someone to the DOJ, to head of the DOJ. Will that person investigate the New York State judge who just charged him $500 million?
On what grounds?
They'll make some shit up, boss. They made all that shit up about Biden. They don't give a shit. Most of the things that they're impeaching Joe Biden on are made up. They're not real. There's no evidence. And the people who they
Well,
keep calling in to do to be a witness are liars.
hold on. That's a little different
They're just going
because
to
you're
do the
talking
same
about
thing. They'll do the same thing.
House investigations
Yeah, they
as
have the
opposed
House. They'll
to appointing
investigate that
somebody to the
judge.
DOJ who has to follow certain legal, you know, rules.
I am the law. That's what they'll say. They
No.
will be the law. You're talking about the law as if it's a thing that the laws of thermodynamics are damn near impossible to break. Laws written in legal books from the 1800s are very easy to break. You can simply just do that.
I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think that they have any grounds to investigate the guy. I don't think that anyone cares enough to actually support whatever charges they manage to come up with. And what would that even look like? I mean, what would they even charge the guy with?
It would look exactly
Or
like the investigation, the House investigation into Hunter Biden.
the DOJ doesn't work like that, though.
They will. They're about to. Boss, I'm telling you, they're gonna. He'll put James Comer in charge of the DOJ or something like that. He'll put somebody who will take Russian disinformation, willingly, gladly, look you in the eye, in the camera. They'll go on Fox News and say, this judge is crooked. And here's the evidence. We found his laptop. And his laptop says has all these emails that were doctored by Russia, but he'll call them facts. He'll say that they're real. He'll say that they're true. And he'll do an investigation into the guy that'll last 3 or 4 years.
out of all the doomer scenarios, I think this one might be one of the more probable ones. But
Okay.
more probable than the other ones is still like a 0.0000001% chance versus a 0.002% chance.
Okay. Okay. Very okay. Unlikely. Probably not going to happen. That's fine. I have a funny feeling that's kind of what he's promising, isn't it? That's what he's telling us he's going to do. I'm going to investigate the people who are doing all the election fraud, but there is no election fraud.
And Hillary is going to be in jail.
And Hillary's going to be in jail. He tried to put her in jail. He tried real hard to put her in jail. But you're right, the law and the lawyers and the judges didn't do what he said. I don't think they're going to make that mistake again. I don't think he's going to make that mistake again. He says, I will put her in jail. I will get this done. I will do this. I will do these things. And he couldn't because of the law. He's not going to fuck that up again.
I seem to recall shortly after he was elected and people were asking that question, hey, when's Hillary going to go to jail? He was like, not that important to me. We're not doing it.
I don't know. I think he still talks about locking her up. I don't know. I don't think he talks about her. I haven't heard him say anything about her lately. He still calls her Crooked Hillary, and he was complaining about her emails like a week ago. Okay, I take that back. He was complaining about her acid washing her servers a week ago on a campaign trail. He's talking shit, yes, and I agree that he talks a lot of shit, but at some point, some of that shit's going to get done. He's going to put somebody who believes the shit is real in charge of an important part of the government, and they're going to do the thing that he's suggesting.
They might try, but it won't work.
Okay, so if he's talking shit about things that aren't real, and he's going to put people in charge who might do that thing, and you're telling me it won't work, why the fuck does he have so many people supporting him? I don't get it. If half of the things that he promises come true, it's a fucking nightmare. Why is Cottonmouth still supporting him? He's in here in chat, typing entire blocks of chat at me about how great Trump is, and I don't get it. I don't.
Charisma.
Charisma.
I mean, that is what the presidential election is it's a matter of charisma, right?
I think it's feelings. So is that a feeling? He makes Cottonmouth feel good? Is that what it is? Because that's what I think it is. Are you suggesting that Trump's charisma makes Cottonmouth happy?
Well, yeah, people like charismatic leaders.
Even if they're full of shit.
Yeah.
I weep for the humanity. They, I think that this guy who's typing entire paragraphs right now has feelings, and those feelings are validated and appreciated when he sees Donald Trump talk. He has feelings about Donald Trump, and he has feelings that leads to beliefs, and he's typing all those beliefs right now into chat, which is cool.
Well, it leads you to seek out information that confirms your initial biases, right? So,
Right.
I mean, all the things he's saying in chat could be accurate.
No, they're not.
Could be.
Uh,
Well, I'm saying they could be accurate. I don't know where the information is coming
I'm
from,
being dismissive.
but
You're
if I were to start looking into this stuff, if I cared enough, I mean, I might find the same information.
okay. And I think that's bullshit. I think that's step 3 on the Republican, the latest theory I have about Republicanism. I think step 1 is feelings, step 2 is beliefs, step 3 is bullshit. And I think
I mean, he's saying that the banks were all paid back. They used their own appraiser to determine how much had to be paid back. The banks agreed to the loan amount, received it all. 40 other states would have thrown this out. People in New York.
bullshit.
Yeah,
Bullshit.
I don't know.
Bullshit.
Where does this information come
He's
from?
making bullshit. That's step 3, bullshit. And then step 4 is rage. That's the 4-step thing that I noticed the other day. I'm trying to analyze and things like that, and those are the 4 steps that I came up with. And I think this fits with the election of 2020. Really is. They had a belief. Or no, I'm sorry. Feelings is number 1. They feel like Donald Trump is good for them, and they feel that they feel his charisma, and they like it, they love it, they want some more of it. They have a belief that he should win, will win, did win, and they act on that belief. So they believe that Donald Trump won in 2020. What comes after that? Bullshit. There was a lot of bullshit in that after that election. Look at this security camera. Look at those votes that got brought in from under the table. This is a van full of votes that got thrown out. This is a bamboo fiber, bamboo DNA inside the paper ballots. Bullshit to support themselves. And if you challenge that bullshit, you get rage, which happened on Jan 6th. That's my 4-step theory right now.
Interesting theory.
And I think it will kind of happen again and again. I'm writing those 4 steps down and watching for them to happen so that I can see the analytics and whether or not that happens, because that's what I think happens with somebody like Cottonmouth here in chat. He has a feeling about Donald Trump. He has a feeling, negative feelings towards Joe Biden.
I think it could be interesting to go find out if this stuff is true or not.
Mhm.
I might look into this trial.
Okay. He then has beliefs about 40 other states would have thrown it out. Well, that's a belief, isn't it? He believes that the trial that the Judge Engeron, is a criminal. I think if I can roll up a little bit, he said that he should be disbarred. He believes that the judge needs to be overturned and ought to be disbarred. He believes that. And if you push back against that belief, he will give you bullshit. And I think that's what's happening in the chat right now, is that he's just bringing up the bullshit.
Well, but hold on, you don't know that yet, because
well, no,
you
I
haven't looked
don't.
into the case either.
Because why do I think that what he's typing is bullshit? Because an actual literal judge has decided this case. Lawyers have been involved. The justice system has worked, and it has come to a conclusion.
Well, okay, hold on a
This
second.
is just a random chatter. So he's talking bullshit. When a random chatter tells you that the law is wrong for factual reasons, I call it bullshit.
Hold on.
I talk bullshit all
Just
day long.
because they are judges.
I'm not arguing. I
Whoa.
talk bullshit all day.
Just because they're judges and whatnot does not mean that they're infallible,
I
right?
agree.
I mean, what was it? Is it the Ninth Circuit or one. There's one circuit that's got an overturn rate. Actually, there's a couple of them that are overturned over like 80% of the time. It's insane.
Mhm.
So these these judges are not infallible. They
I agree.
they do things sometimes that are not correct.
I accept that.
An 80% overturn rate is freaking atrocious.
Okay, great.
Fourth Circuit recently, in the last 2 years, has had 100% of their decisions overturned.
What?
And yeah, I mean,
Okay, how many decisions does Cottonmouth in chat have? What I'm saying is he doesn't have any authority. He doesn't have anything other than talking bullshit. I'm calling it bullshit. When I talk to you, I'm just talking bullshit. I'm not talking facts. I'm talking feelings. I'm talking bullshit. I accept that. I'm willing to admit that. Um, I believe Judge Engeron more than I believe Cottonmouth. Am I a crazy person to suggest that?
no, but I mean, probably worth looking into.
Okay. If
I'm interested to see the details of this trial.
okay,
Are like,
I mean
what is the
it's literally already over. They're going into appeals right now, and if he doesn't put that
right?
bond up, if he does get that bond, which he might, if he gets it, then it will go up for appeal. But the appeal won't be on factual basis. Appeals aren't fact based. Appeals are process based. Did this judge do a bad job? Did the jury do a thing wrong? Did this lawyer break the law, break the rules, break the process? That's what
Well,
appeals are.
the appeals are fact based, though,
No, they're not.
right? Like,
Nope.
did the judge do this wrong? Would be based on what the facts are of the case in the first place, right? Like, if the facts support, for example, let's take a different example where it's
Sorry to bother you. There's a spider that I have to go kill real quick. But I'm listening to you. Go ahead.
okay. So let's take a different example. Let's say there's a murder trial and the defendant is convicted. That person goes to appeal, says that the judge or whoever did not take certain things into account, or that the jury had some kind of bias and didn't take something into account. They have the right to appeal it and get the decision reversed. I mean,
Right, but they don't argue the facts of the case during an appeal. I think if I understand it correctly, almost all the time, an appeal determines whether or not the judge did the right thing, whether or not the lawyers did the right thing, not what you as the defendant did or didn't do. The facts of the case stay the same, and the facts of that murder, the evidence that was introduced during that first trial, are the evidence, and they don't change. You don't introduce new evidence in an appeal. You know what I mean? I think you get another trial. If something comes up to exonerate you, that's new evidence and it's not an appeal at that point, if I understand correctly. And so when Donald Trump goes for this appeal, he won't be entering new evidence. He won't. He's going to do that. He's going to say, look at this evidence. And they're going to be like, no, man, that's not how appeals work. But he's too dumb to know that. His lawyers might know that, but he often does have dumb lawyers uh, because he can't afford the good ones. Uh, so he's going to put up that money. He's going to go to appeal. He's going to say the facts again and again and again and again, which are incorrect. He says wrong facts all the time. The appeal's going to get shot down, and then he's going to try and appeal it again and again and again, as many times as he can until he wins the presidency and he can make it go away. I think that's his plan.
His plan is to just keep appealing?
Yes, drag it out until he wins the presidency so that he can
Oh,
pardon himself, fire Engeron. He'll find a way to do it, or investigate
an
Engeron.
interesting thing to be able to do as the president, fire a state uh,
Yeah, I
entity.
know. He's gonna
I don't
try.
think that's possible.
He's gonna try. He's gonna bring him up on federal charges. Is what he'll do. He's gonna, and I'm worried that he'll do anything he can to dodge that $500 million bill, including breaking the law. According to Judge Engeron, he already broke the law to avoid paying that $500 million. That's why he has to pay it back now.
Okay, I don't know enough about the case.
Okay. So where the hell was I going with this? I've completely lost track of where I was. I got distracted by a spider and then a dog. The spider is dead, by the way. Spiders are great outside the house. I don't kill them, but inside the house, you're in the kill zone. What the hell was I talking about? Let's look at the links I have brought up. Let's look at those. Maybe I'll remember where we left off. Okay, the Republican House. Great. One more person is left. Maytag files motion to remove the speaker again. She's calling for him to be gone again because he did a government. Mike Johnson passed a spending bill, which is a thing that the House is supposed to do, but he coordinated, he worked with Democrats to make that happen, and she wants him gone.
Okay.
This, well, she's a bad guy. I think you agree with me that she's not a
I mean,
serious
when I
person.
hear news like this, it's just an eye roll for me.
Okay, well, I mean, are we going to
I've
go through
fucking
another 30 votes to get a new speaker?
maybe, but I mean, that would be stupid. I wouldn't put it past them, but
Okay, great. If they're stupid and they keep doing dumb things, why do they keep getting elected? Why does Cottonmouth keep supporting them? If they're so bad and stupid, and I can see they're stupid, and I keep pointing at they're stupid, why do they keep winning? Is it just the Riz again?
I mean, I have no idea how Marjorie Taylor Greene keeps getting elected. I don't fucking know.
I think she's only been elected once, if I remember correctly.
Oh,
Or was it twice?
well, I hope she
Maybe she
doesn't
only
get
got it
elected
once.
again.
Okay.
I'm hoping she gets primaried in her next election and doesn't come back.
Okay. So,
Like, I mean, I would probably resign if I had to work with her. I'd be fucking irritated as shit.
right. So she's going to piss on the wheels of progress. She's going to gum up the works again. Republicans had a bad day. They voted against a sweeping funding bill. One threatened to overthrow the Speaker Johnson. Another Republican resigned early. And Santos caused turmoil in the New York City race.
George Santos strikes again?
Yeah, Santos is striking again. He's going to run as an independent now, it seems. He lost. He was kicked out by the Republicans. Then he tried to run again as a Republican because why not? He lost that, I think, and now he's going to be an independent because these Republicans cannot be trusted.
Well, I mean, how could we not elect the first man to step on the moon?
Did you? I mean, he scored 4 touchdowns in a single game at Polk High. I mean, he absolutely is a hero of the American people. But the Republicans don't want to elect him for some reason. I can't imagine why.
He's very smart. He discovered that the Earth is round, didn't you know?
He did that. In fact, he invented bitcoins. George Santos, you heard it here, folks. You heard it here first, folks. Invented Bitcoin. All those other fake coins, the Dogecoins, the Litecoins, the Ethereum, all that stuff, copied what George Santos did. They're running where George Santos learned how to walk. But anyway, yeah, he's gonna.
Is George Santos the man behind Satoshi Nakamoto?
It's a pen name sort of thing. I've just doxed him, and I apologize for that, but I did do that. Satoru Nakamoto. Satori, what is it?
Satoshi Nakamoto, the inventor
Satoshi
of
Nakamoto. Yeah,
it's a pseudonym
it's a
by the
pseudonym.
inventor of Bitcoin. We actually
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
know who invented Bitcoin.
Right.
That's
It was
a
George Santos.
it was George Santos. Yes.
Breaking news, everybody! George Santos invented bitcoins. Uh, anyway, that's why I titled the stream what I did. That Donald Trump's a clown, Republicans are the circus. But they keep getting half the vote, sometimes more than half the vote. And I don't get it. I don't think that you can pay attention. And I don't know. The more I pay attention to them, the less I want to vote for them. Is that not the feeling you have?
Um, Not really. I
Okay.
mean, I have my opinions on how things should be done. I see the way that Republicans are saying things should be done and the way that Democrats say things should be done.
Okay.
And the Republicans align more with how I think things should be done. Just because there are a few clowns that manage to get themselves into the House of Representatives doesn't change that fact.
Okay. I think there are more. Okay. Question for you: are there more clowns today than there were 10 years ago?
I don't know. I didn't follow politics very
Okay.
closely 10 years ago.
I would suggest that there are. You
I
might
mean,
disagree, but I'm going to suggest there are more clowns today than there were 10 years ago, and there's more 10 years ago than there were 30 years ago. The number of clowns is up on the rise.
maybe. I don't know. I did not follow politics
Okay.
as closely back then.
Okay. Yeah. When did I pick it up? I think I didn't really watch the news as a kid. Obviously, you're a kid, but it was the Iraq War. Have I told you the story? The bombing of Iraq that was happening. What was that? 2003, I want to say. It was the big shelling of Iraq in 2003, and I was flipping through the channels. I flipped to CNN, and they had a guy standing with Kabul and Iraq and all that stuff behind him, and he was talking into the microphone, and there were shells flying behind him. And then I was like, oh wow, that's kind of interesting. And then I flipped up to it wasn't MSNBC back then. It was a different one. It was like Headline News or something like that. And they had a different guy standing in the same place, and you could see the shells flying over him. And then I flipped it up one more because all the news channels were together on cable back then to Fox News, and they had the same guy standing in the same place but with a gas mask on. And and I was like, wait, is this guy know something that the other two don't? Or what's going on now? Because he was literally talking into he had his gas mask on with the same shelling and the same thing as in the background. It looked like he was in the exact same place, but he had the gas mask on, and he was talking and doing a news report, but you could barely hear it because he had the gas mask on. He was talking he had a microphone up to the gas mask, right? And I was like, okay, why, why is there a difference between these three choices here?
Well,
And
so much of the news is very performative.
right,
I mean, have you seen there was that one Anderson Cooper thing where he purposely found like the deepest spot to stand in for the flooding, and it was like up
yes,
to his waist, and then if you get a shot that's a little further out, it shows the camera guy perfectly dry with the it's
yeah,
like what? And or like
yeah, I agree.
or the one reporter that was like pretending to struggle against the high winds of the hurricane or whatever that were coming through or that was supposed to be coming, and then behind him as they're filming there's like two guys just casually strolling along the sidewalk.
Uh, yeah, it was, and I didn't know that that was a thing that the news could or would do back then. Because I was like, oh wait, why are we getting this performativeness on one person and not the other? And that just it cracked a little thought in my head. I always thought the news was always the same, and all the people were all reporting the same thing. It was just boring. But then I started to notice that performativity that you're mentioning, and uh, and then I just started paying attention, and then I kind of got addicted to it.
Fair enough.
And so yeah, that's how I got into the entire thing. It is And then I just kept going. And then, oh God, and then it got worse because then I accidentally sank into the 9/11 truth theorism. And that one got me. Oh, it got me hard. uh, and yeah, that was the thing that, and then I was like, oh yeah, and then I started watching Loose Change, and I fell into the conspiracy theorist side, and then I had to dig my way out of that. That's not an easy thing to dig your way out of. Speaking of that, oh, go ahead.
I don't know. I take interest in conspiracy theories once in a while. I just, you take them with a massive grain of salt.
Okay. Hey, here's one. Mastriano proposes bill to combat chemtrails. So, a Pennsylvania lawmaker is passing laws to combat chemtrails. Pennsylvania requires those seeking to modify the weather to get a license. He made a state law that says if you're going to modify the weather, you have to get a license for it. But nobody's come to apply for that license. And that's a problem. State senator, this is just a state senator, so this isn't a giant, super important guy, who was the 2022 GOP nominee for Pennsylvania governor, has proposed legislation to outlaw experimental weather modification techniques falsely associated with the chemtrail conspiracy theory. So you see the trails that this plane is leaving? According to him, those are chemicals being dropped on you and me and everybody in the country, and he wants it to stop.
Good times.
Good times. So the false belief that they consider condensation trails left by high-flying aircraft are actually trails of chemicals released by the government for nefarious reasons has become conflated with techniques being explored to reduce the amount of solar radiation absorbed by the atmosphere. Yeah, Dr. Unstoppable is correct in chat. Proposed bill means it hasn't gotten out of committee. It's just a wild headline meant to get you riled up. I know it is. But I think it's fun. To look at the things that he would suggest. Why would a serious, important, and intentional lawmaker suggest that? Does he not believe it? Does he believe chemtrails are real? If he believes chemtrails are real, he shouldn't be in charge of the government, even a state government. I don't want him in there. So Dr. Unstoppable in chat is just, yeah, it's meant to get us riled up, but he's telling us his thoughts. I think that's valuable. I think that's important to know the thoughts of our government officials. What do you think, Thomas?
Yeah, it's probably important. What state does he belong to again?
This is Pennsylvania.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Pennsylvania maybe should not vote for that guy.
I agree.
Maybe they should have someone primary him.
I agree.
I'd still rather have him than than a Democrat in there, though.
Okay. And that is a position that you can have. Dr. Unstoppable is in chat, and I appreciate you being here. But that's why I think it's valuable to look at these things. Like Thomas just said, he seems to believe in crazy things. Let's vote for somebody else. So let's hop onto the next conspiracy theory. I think, what have we got? We've got another one. So, what is this? This is somebody mentioned earlier in chat about Israel or Palestine. I hope you're still here. We're getting to that right now. Jared Kushner says Israel should finish the job in Gaza so it can focus on building valuable waterfront property. This story was brought to us by, who was it? In the Discord. His name is Zayla. I haven't seen Zayla in chatting today, but Zayla brought this to us. And if you want to be as cool as Zayla, go into the Discord, click on the thing, tell us what stories to talk about, and then we will talk about them and field them together. Zayla brought this to us, and so I appreciate it, and we will take a look at it. Jared Kushner says Israel should finish the job in Gaza so it can focus on building valuable waterfront property. Let's just listen to him talk. I think we can listen to it right here.
But also there are real fears on the part of Arabs, and I'm sure you talked to a lot of them, who think once Gazans leave Gaza, Netanyahu's never going to let them back in.
The guy is dumb. He's a hack. I think that one of Trump's biggest mistakes during his administration last time was listening to Kushner too much and I hope he doesn't do that again.
Okay. I agree. I think Jared Kushner's just at best he's a business boy, and that's all he cares about. Honestly, is turning a profit, real estate deals, which there's a lot more to politics than just turning a profit in real estate deals.
Correct.
Let's see what he said. In February interview at Harvard that was posted online this month and uncovered by The Guardian on Tuesday, Kushner opined that the Gaza Strip could be very valuable from a real estate perspective if Israel could forcibly remove everyone currently living there to develop waterfront property. Speaking to a Harvard professor, Kushner said, "It's a little bit of an unfortunate situation there, but from Israel's perspective, I would do my best to move the people out and then clean it up." Where does Kushner suggest these people go? He suggests that they just go to Egypt with diplomacy. So he's just doing real estate brain, not, hey, these are people who do not want to leave their homes. He's not doing politics, he's doing real estate. And I think that's a bad plan. Don't put real estate people in charge of your diplomacy.
Yeah. I really hope he's far away from the administration next time if Trump gets elected again.
I don't think he will be.
I don't think he's equipped to handle the political stuff.
I agree.
With diplomacy. How are you going to do this? Oh, with diplomacy.
Diplomacy. We're gonna move 2 million starving poor people into Egypt with diplomacy. Is that possible? Maybe. Does Egypt want it? No. Just diplomacy it. Well, diplomacy would be giving them their own place to live, I would suggest. And then stop being religious, both of us. But that's again, Emo Waldo's in chat because that's what I think.
We're gonna implement all these. We're gonna implement the XYZ under the government. Well, how are you gonna do that with politics?
With politics. So yeah, that is another wonderful thing. Thanks, Zayla, for that story. This guy. I think this guy's dumb, and Thomas and I can agree that he's just a what's the word? Real estate guy who doesn't comprehend diplomacy. Let's see, what else do we got to talk about? Well, we're still on the somewhat conspiracy train. Terrorism in Russia. Putin says gunmen who raided Moscow concert hall tried to escape to Ukraine. Kiev denies involvement. So, as if the world couldn't get any worse. Yesterday, this is like yesterday, well-armed gunmen did a terrorism in Russia. Have you seen anything about this?
I did not.
Russian authorities arrested 4 men suspected of carrying out an attack in suburban Moscow concert hall that killed 133 people and believe they were headed to Ukraine. Vladimir Putin on Saturday during an address to the nation. It was a terrorism. I'm quite sure it was ISIS, but he's going to blame. I almost called him Trump. Putin is going to blame Ukraine. Ukraine is going to say, no, it wasn't us. And America kind of told them it was coming ahead of time because it's ISIS and we keep our eyes on them. Kiev, meanwhile, strongly denied any involvement in Friday's attack on Crocus City, music hall venue in Krasnogorsk, which the Islamic State group's affiliate in Afghanistan claimed responsibility. For the statement posted in social media channels linked to the group, Kiev accused Putin and other Russian politicians of falsely linking Ukraine to the assault in order to stoke fervor in Russia's war in Ukraine, which recently entered its 3rd year. So, a terrorism happened, and Russia blamed Ukraine. Ukraine says, no, it wasn't us. And it's not going to help anything. So, there's that.
Jesus, it's been 3 years since they invaded Ukraine.
Right, it's been going on that long.
Imagine being blown the fuck out so badly that you can't overtake the tiny country to your left. Like,
and
oh gosh.
Reason for that, I really do think that we've been overestimating Russia's military capabilities for years. Ever since the Cold War, when they had people in charge that could handle that stuff, I think it's just been a slow degradation over time. The Sven and Ivan, who work at the tank place, have been stealing parts and selling it for hooch. I know they still probably have some nuclear ICBMs that are operational, but I bet most of them don't work. I bet.
Well, it's probably the same with our arsenal as well.
I don't know. I bet ours is well kept. I'm willing to bet that the just obscene amounts of money that our government spends on defense and stuff like that does upkeep them. I know they're running on old systems and stuff like that, and a lot of them still use floppy disks and shit like that. But I'm willing to bet they're upkept. They've got preventive maintenance going on those things. You know what I'm saying? And Russia doesn't. And I'm willing to bet that the rocket fuel got siphoned off by Sven and sold for hooch or turned into hooch.
Jeez.
I don't want to bet all our lives. Earl of Laurel, you have a good point. I don't want to bet all our lives on it. So let's not put Russia in a position to fire off those nukes. If they do, I'm willing to bet lots of them don't work, but it's still a fucking bad plan if one of them does.
Yes, they did annex Crimea back then, but the actual war, like the physical invasion, did not happen until 3 years ago.
Yeah, Crimea was a part of Ukraine, but then they took it. And I'm going to complain about Obama for a minute, he let them. And he let them take Crimea because we were still neck deep in Iraq, Iran, and Afghanistan. Not Iraq, sorry. Iran and Afghanistan. And because he didn't have the political will of the people to say, no, you're not going to take that. He couldn't. Wars often require the will of the people to carry them out. And because we fucked around in Iraq for such a long time, doing fucking nothing, the American people lost their will to do that. The actual good thing back in Crimea.
I think it was an act of appeasement. I think we had every capability to prevent that annexation back then, but I think that this was an appeasement strategy, which obviously does not work.
It didn't work.
From history, we see that doesn't work.
I agree. Yeah, Obama was like, okay, let him have this thing, then he'll stop. And he didn't. Putin kept going. He wants the eastern side of Ukraine for himself. And then if we appease them, as some people have suggested we do, he will then take more. And then he'll take more 5 years from now. He'll take more 10 years from now. And whoever replaces him when he dies of old age 50 years from now will take some more. And I don't think that's a good way to operate.
Well, the good news is that they are finding little success in Ukraine right now.
I agree, yes.
So I don't think they're going to be managing to invade many more countries in the near future.
I hope not. I hope they end what's going on.
Turn the friggin' frogs gay!
Koti Kahan, thanks for becoming a follower. You turned a frog gay. I hope you're proud of yourself. You're right. I think the Russian people are losing their will to go and do all of those land grabs. There's lots of Russians that are defecting. They don't want to do the thing. They don't want to be involved in this fight. And there's some with that terrorism attack that I told you about that happened yesterday. There's some people thinking that it is Russian separatists, people who are anti-Putin, who do not want him to continue doing all these land grab things. And that's a theory, but I don't think it's very well substantiated at this point.
Yeah, I think that Putin probably will remain in power, but I don't think they're going to support any additional conflict, and I don't think he's going to go for it either. I think this is probably eye-opening for the Russian people and their government. And honestly, a lot of the Ukraine situation has been kind of an embarrassment for them. I mean, have you seen the videos of like people driving past a Russian, like an entire convoy, and the Russian convoy isn't moving because they're out of fuel?
Because they're out of gas, yeah. And that's because their military is filled with people who just do not care about the mission. They just care about lining their own pockets. What's the bureaucrats that make the money, the oligarchs or whatever in Russia? Because they're the ones in charge. Give us the money. We don't care what happens. And the Russian oligarchs are like stripping the parts. They're taking the fuel. They're keeping the bullets. They're selling them off to somewhere else. They're snagging the jet fuel and stuff like that and selling it off to the side when no one's looking. And that has seriously degraded their entire military. And I think we've been overestimating them for a very long time. Earl of Laurel. Okay, I found Waldo and gave him a chance, but you guys are painfully ignorant about matters of international relations. Sorry, you guys really don't know what you're talking about. What are we not talking about, Earl of Laurel? You said that he let Russia take Crimea because he wasn't as willing to bet. Yeah, but Obama didn't want to bet and try to fight for Ukraine, so he did a little bit of an appeasement thing. I mean, let's see, what else did he type in? Dr. Unstoppable, Ukraine let Russia move a military across the border and destroy the ballot boxes in Crimea. Ukraine is the victim in all of this, but that doesn't mean that they're the good guys. Ukraine only gets a 5.06 on the democracy index. I agree. The Russians came in violently and took Crimea, and we didn't help them. We didn't back them up. They wanted it to stop. They didn't want to lose part of their land, and then they had a election, in giant air quotes, that had two options. The election that happened in Crimea was return Crimea to Russia or return to the 1960 borders where Crimea was part of Russia. Those were your two options. That's not really an option, is it? Corruption is a major issue in Ukrainian politics. And where does that corruption come from, Dr. Unstoppable? It comes from people who are being paid by Russia.
Obviously, it comes from Hunter Biden.
Obviously, it comes from Hunter Biden.
You're right.
Group. You're right. Hunter Biden is paying all of these Ukrainians to be corrupt. I hadn't even thought about that angle. I appreciate you bringing that up. That wasn't even a thing I was thinking about. December 5th, Budapest Memorandum Peace Treaty. I don't know about that in 1994, Planet X, but I can look it up later. Let's see, what other stories have we got today? We've got, all right, we're doing it. Let's talk about immigration. You ready?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So I sent this to you a couple of days ago, and I talked about it on this past Wednesday, but illegal U.S. border crossings aren't breaking records. They're at the point that they were back in the 90s. Federal agents used to catch only a third of those trying to enter the country unlawfully from Mexico. Now it's close to 90% as most simply turn themselves in.
Yes.
Okay.
Because of our catch and release policies.
And
also because we have more funding for border patrol and whatnot nowadays.
So the system is working. This seems like the system is working to me. 90% simply turn themselves in rather than sneaking across because we have a system in which they can apply for asylum, and I would want them to have a pathway to citizenship. This is the system working.
I don't think it is. I think that the catch and release policy is actually the opposite of the system working, because when you flood the asylum system, which is what they're applying for, is asylum for whatever reason, when you flood the asylum system with so many people, they know that it's going to be years before they ever have their court date, and by then, whatever.
Make the system better. Don't make them wait years. Make them wait days. Put more people into the judge. Put more of the judges there. Put more of the civilian workers there. Put more of the people who are going to figure these things out down there. Put people down there to do background checks and lawyers that can push them through this system. Why is that a crazy idea?
I mean, adding more judges to the the system would be probably a good idea considering the amount of people we have to deal with.
Okay, great.
That's fine. I mean,
we can do that instead of wasting money on a wall.
Then you end up, they'll stop turning themselves in. If their asylum application goes through quicker and they get denied asylum applications, or
then
their
we can send them back. I'm okay with
denied and we send them back,
okay.
Then they're going to start sneaking across again because, well, not even worth it to turn myself in and only have 15 days in the United States when I could sneak over and have an indefinite amount of time until I get caught, right? Okay. Whereas right now it's like, if I just go turn myself in, they'll let me go and I can be in the U.S. for 3 years and never even have to worry about my status, right?
Right, but then they have to worry that they're going to be caught and sent back.
No, I'm saying the reason that they're doing this right now is because they know that once they apply for the asylum, they're going to be released into the United States and they're going to be allowed to stay here while their court case is pending for like a few years.
Okay. And
so I'm saying
can't
that
they just go through the steps to become a citizen in that time? That's what I want. I want them to show up at that border. I want them to be turn themselves in. I want them to say, hey, I want asylum. And then we have a court case to determine whether or not they actually have that asylum. And if they do, then we have a system to put them into place in the country somewhere in, I would suggest, government housing, and put them on a path to citizenship, charge them a fee for that thing, and make them pay taxes. That's my entire plan.
Well, so another big reason that this is happening is because Biden ended the wait in Mexico policy that Trump put in place. So Trump put into place policies where if someone applies for asylum in the United States, they have to wait for their decision in Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
They don't wait for it in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Biden overturned that, and now they wait for it in the United States. Right? We get them, they apply for asylum, we release them into the country until their date. Right?
Okay. And if they and I would
so the
suggest
reason
put
that
them into a government house.
So the reason that they were caught, or the reason that the apprehensions were so low under previous administrations, including Trump's, is because, well, it's not worth it to go turn yourself into Border Patrol because you're not going to be allowed into the country. You're going to have to wait in Mexico.
Mm-hmm. So they were sneaking.
As opposed to now, where...
So we didn't have any control.
Well, as opposed to now, where they come apply for asylum, the system is so backlogged that they just get to be here for years until their court date.
Okay, make that system better. It's Republicans who are against making that system better because that will end up with more brown people in the country. And
my point here is, if we were to, let's say, have a whole bunch of extra judges appointed, right? Extra judges, extra lawyers, and whatnot. And we were to reduce the backlog on the system so that instead of having to wait years for your date, it's now like a month, right? What I'm saying is that if that happens, then you're going to see those numbers come down from the 90% that they're at right now down to back to the previous levels.
Because they wouldn't get through the system? Because the system would turn them down?
No, what they're doing right now is they are abusing the system, right? They know that the backlog is this long. If they just go apply for asylum, they get to be here for however many years until their court case.
And then, under what you're suggesting to me, is that they show up, the 90% is because they get to stay here for 3 years, and then the system is going to deny them their asylum. But it's too late because they've been here for 3 years.
Well, I mean, it could be too late. Yeah. I mean, 3 years is a long time. You might have a kid on U.S. soil in that amount of time, and then that kid is a citizen, and now you get to stay because of the whole anchor baby
the anchor
thing.
babies. That sounds like fucking America to me. I love this idea. I'm
I
not.
hate that idea.
I'm unironically on board for these people coming here, going through the court system, becoming citizens, and having children.
Oh, no. It's the children of the citizen, not them.
Right. I know. Become a citizen. Give them a path for citizenship. But they can't walk that path right now because it's expensive, it's time consuming, and they have to do it from a different country where they have no ability to work and make any money, and they can't be charged taxes. That's insane. And I would make the asylum process accept almost all of them if they don't have a criminal background. And no, breaking the law by coming across the border isn't a crime. I recognize that that's a crime, but I'm saying that wouldn't be one of the crimes that you would count towards their criminal background. You know what
I mean? I think that we have a fundamental disagreement here. I mean, I don't want people coming over here unless we need them.
That's we need them. Well, you don't need a few of your freedoms, so I'm going to take those freedoms from you. People are free. I tend to lean towards freedom, and if they want to leave the country they're in and come to ours, I want them to have a way to do so.
See, no, I don't think that that's a good idea.
And I
don't. If we don't need you, I don't want you here.
Okay, well, I didn't come about this. This is the direction I went. So I started with human freedom,
and it's not a taking away of
freedom.
It's
preventing them from doing the thing that they want to do. You are preventing them from doing the thing that they think would help them, help their children, and make their lives better. So you're preventing a freedom. You're not entirely preventing it, but you're compressing or you're kind of preventing them from doing what they.
I mean, it would certainly improve the homeless dude down the street's life if I just let him walk into my house and sleep on my couch every day.
That's your stuff. He's not free to do that. Who said this? It always turns to this. Oh, are they living in your house, Waldo? Waldo, are you going to bring 70 million of them into your house? I want the government to build government housing to take care of these people. I want more government housing. Housing is an issue, and I've said it before because our entire economy is based on buying and selling each other's houses. That it's a mistake. And this is the downside of such a high level of privatized housing. When companies own gigantic swaths of the country and then rent it to people instead of being able to buy a house, it leads to not border disputes, but like a housing shortage. We have a housing shortage in the country right now, right? And because of that housing shortage, we can't take these new immigrants in.
I mean, you're literally advocating for us to essentially build a mega city to handle
not one, hundreds of cities. Not one, hundreds. Across the
mega
country.
cities. Yes,
hundreds.
They can house
yes, lots of them.
10 million plus people.
10 million plus people? No, there's 11 million already, and there's like 1 million that want to come in. 11 million people spread across 50 states ain't that many.
I just think that this is a project that is unreasonable. I don't think there's a good reason for us to do it.
There are people who want to be Americans. Give us your huddled masses and all.
I don't fucking buy into that.
You don't buy into that. I'm gonna call you un-American then.
No.
Yes.
No.
You have you and I do.
I'm sorry, but a poem on the Statue of Liberty is not binding U.S. law. It's not a part of our Constitution. It's not a part of any of our anything. It's nothing. I think that referring to that poem is just ridiculous. And if I had my way, I'd toss the thing in the water. I don't want your worst. I want your best.
Statue of Liberty, Thomas. There it is. We finally gotten to the crux of our disagreement, is that you're anti-Statue of Liberty.
I'm anti the poem on the Statue of Liberty. Again, I don't want your worst. I want your best.
And that sounds like elitism to me, but I like the idea that poem is putting forward. Dr. Unstoppable has been in chat a few times. Do you want to bring him on? So on a rare occasion, we bring people on. He has been in chat. He has proven that he's not just going to screech obscenities. Timothy, do I want more taxes for the appropriate people? Sure. So hop into the Discord, Mr. Dr. Unstoppable, and I'll bring you on here in just a few minutes, okay?
Yep. That's fine. I'm going to go ahead and get up and refresh my beverage here.
Okay. Cool.
And I'll be back momentarily.
Okay,
Feel free to bring him on.
Okay. So, if you're watching, if you're paying attention, hop into chat, say hello, tell us how you're feeling. We have the Kick chat, the Twitch chat, and the YouTube chat. YouTube chat's a little slow. Timothy, you're a little slow because YouTube chat is more slow. It takes much longer for things to be typed. So I'm going to type YouTube chat into YouTube chat, and I'm going to hit enter. And I'm going to wait, and I'm going to wait, and then 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 we're going to wait a little bit more, and you're going to wait a little more, and you're going to wait a little more for it to appear. Timothy, hop into the Twitch chat or the Kick chat to get a faster chat if you'd like to chat a little more quickly. I can post the Twitch link in the chat. So what we usually do is Thomas and I talk about the politics and stuff like that. Press the subscribe button if you want to subscribe. Press the thumbs up for things like that. Saturdays, Thomas and I usually talk about the news and all that fun stuff. And on occasion, when YouTube chat doesn't always show up in the chat. It's very strange. Only because you don't stream on YouTube, I guess. I do stream on YouTube. I'm streaming on YouTube right this minute. Sir Manifestos just turned a frog guy. I appreciate it. Thank you. Dr. Unstoppable's in the general chat room. We're going to bring him on and see how he does. So, here we go. Moving on in and there.
Good. Thank you. Yes, I was just waiting to turn off the Twitch so I don't get an echo, but see, my video is not showing. Let's get the video going. Oh, you can't stream video in this channel. Okay, cool.
I don't have video set up at the moment. I probably could if I were smarter, but I'm not.
All good. Yep.
So, welcome to the chat. I've seen you in chat before. I appreciate you becoming a follower and doing all those fun things. Give us some hot takes. What are you thinking?
Oh, well, okay. So on immigration, what I've developed, the position that I've developed over many years is, and I stream on my stream is, that a high school education should be the basis for U.S. immigration. That's something that I like to think of, and my reason for that is because it's like a Sophie's Choice, unfortunately, where there's just this story of this mother that has to run into a burning building, and she can only save one of her kids, and she has to choose to let one of them die. It's a terrible decision, but philosophically, the only way to make everyone equal is to just let both the children die, and that's not a viable solution, So we're just stuck here. I mean, and it kind of comes down to what you're saying, is there 11 million people who want to be Americans, or is it more like 100 million? That if we just had a totally open border, how many would want to come in? And I haven't really done thorough research, but my impression is it's probably more like 100 million. And in that case, we wouldn't be able to carry all the children, And so if we did have a standard like a high school education, like the arbiter exam in Germany or the high school exit exam in Japan, the people could probably spend a couple years in like a refugee camp, which sucks. I don't like that, but they could learn to pass the test, and they could come in as makers, U.S. citizens that are up to grade level, and would probably be, like I said, makers rather than takers, and it would it would be the difference between a major decision, letting a lot of people in this country does have the possibility of being very bad if we don't do it right. And I think that if we had a standard test that that was academic based, then it wouldn't be as likely that the bad scenario would outcome.
I'm open to this suggestion. I think on the certain conditions. I think one of which would be: do you have a timeline in mind? How long do they have to study for this at the refugee camp?
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess I hadn't thought of that, and there's a lot of issues. Like, what do you do with their kids? Do the kids have to pass the GED? Like, no, obviously. And again, another thing I would add is, again, just throw this in there, would be that if you can get to pass the test, but your spouse can't, then you probably don't want to immigrate, because you can't bring your spouse unless he or she can also pass. And that's just how I would structure. But there's a lot of details that aren't there. But again, as far as how long they get in the refugee camp, I guess, I mean, like, you can stay in if you're a Syrian and you want to be in, I guess, Turkey or Lebanon, they're not going to kick you out like tomorrow or like anytime soon. But so I would my initial thought is no, there's no timeline that they have to necessarily get this. But I'm totally interested in your idea. Like, should there be a timeline? Maybe there should be a timeline.
Well, I think there should be, certainly. I mean, otherwise you might have people that try to just stay in this camp indefinitely, right?
Mm-hmm.
So my thinking would be, okay, we evaluate their current knowledge level, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then from that assessment of their current knowledge level of various things, whatever we deem important, we can compare that to where they're at, or where their current knowledge would be if we were to have them in a American grade school curriculum.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So, like, if they have, let's say, a 9th grade level of understanding of various topics, then we can say, all right, you can be in this camp. People who are in 9th grade, they get up to their senior year in high school. That's 4 years or 3 years worth of schooling. So we're going to give you 3 years here to learn all the things we want you to learn. And if you can do it, you get to stay. If you can't, bye.
Yeah, maybe. And again, I was thinking that the refugee camp would not be in the United States. That it would probably be in Lebanon, or in some other country, in Mexico, wherever they want to do it. I mean, again, I guess it would be. There's probably international organizations that would be eager and ready to. I assume, I don't know, there would be these organizations that would want to teach people how to do it, and maybe there'd be some involvement with the government, because obviously there's going to be someone that's going to just ram them through the bare minimum they need to get to pass the test and not really understand the material. And hopefully we can structure the test in such a way that doesn't work. But obviously a test is just a heuristic. It's not going to ultimately be, there's ways to make it so that passing the test is not equivalent to actually like have going through 13 years of K-12, so that's a reality we're just gonna have to face. But I mean, I have given some thought into, like, if you have children that like need to pass some level of grade based assessment, you have no idea how old they are. You're saying, like, okay, well, anyone over 18, but everyone's going to say they're under 18, I guess, because we have no record on these people, then you have to pass the GED. But if you're like a kid, I guess we could do it on height. If you're below 42 inches, you may not enter the country without knowing your sight words. I don't know.
Okay. So all good ideas that I'm halfway on board for. The other half I would suggest is that we don't put the refugee camp south of the border. We put 50 of them in 50 states and move people to them, and then give them a place to live and charge them for the privilege of being there.
So if you can't pay for it, what do you do?
Lift yourself up by your bootstraps. Have a plan. What's the word? A department who brings these people in, figures out which house they should be in, puts them into there, and then says, okay, here's the work that we're going to give to you. Here's the work that the government needs. Here's the work that the state needs. Here's the work in Idaho. We'll have one of these places in Idaho, maybe 3 or 4 in each state. And the place in Idaho needs this work done. We need them for this for the work anyway, right? If you eat a salad in Texas, that lettuce was picked by an immigrant. Those tomatoes were picked by an immigrant. All of the parts of that salad were put together by an immigrant. They were picked by an immigrant. So why not just have a house of some sort in the state of Texas that they could live in, and then we charge them fees for coming across the border. We charge them taxes, and they can practice to become the GED equivalent that you're talking about.
Well, we have a system where we allow people to come in to do that work already. Mm-hmm. It's the visa system.
Right.
The guest worker system. Yeah.
I don't see why
make it bigger.
Need to make
why
a whole
are
bunch
they
of houses
applying for asylum when they could just apply for that visa system? More of them. Lots more.
Because the ones that are applying for asylum are the ones that either didn't think to apply for the visa to come over here and work, or maybe we only need so many people. And these are excess numbers of people that we don't need coming here to pick the tomatoes or whatever.
I think KBP makes a good point that the cartels would raid those camps in south of the border. Those would be very dangerous places.
Yeah, if you had a refugee camp outside the United States, it would be very dangerous. It would be a lot safer to be in the United States. And yeah, and I guess I haven't really thought of that, of like having the refugee camps inside the United States. That wasn't initially what I was thinking, but yeah, I mean, it depends on like how many children can Sophie hold, and how how what's the best strategy to get them out of the burning house, you know. Yeah. But still, I guess it's a question that fundamentally that keeps me up at night, is that like there's probably going to be some people that would like to be citizens and don't get to be, and that's I don't know how to, that's the tough part, because like if it's just a refugee camp, is there like some sort of prerequisite you need to get into the camp that's inside the United States? Because if that's the test, then that's a pretty big that's an important choke point, that we would have to think about, is if we're going to have camps inside the U.S. And that seems to be a whole other issue. I mean, this question of like the work that we need to have people do work to pick avocados or pick tomatoes, and you probably don't need a college degree to pick tomato, or even like a high school degree necessary really to pick avocados.
Well, right,
but we'd like to give you the opportunity that if you start off picking avocados, you or your children would one day go on to like doing other things, But yeah.
And my suggestion would be that they show up, they get have a background check. If they're a terrible nightmare murderer, the way Donald Trump says that they are, we would deny them, and we would either arrest them and give them to the Mexico authorities, at which point they would be happy, I think. They don't want those people running around. Then that requires diplomacy, which we kind of half-ass have with Mexico. We have a complicated diplomacy with Mexico, because half of us want to treat them like a country, and I'm going to suggest that the entire Republican Party wants to treat them like some sort of nightmare factory that they just keep screaming bloody murder about. They're just everything south of that border is just murderers everywhere. They're barbarians across the other side of the wall, which we need to, they're the Huns we need to build a wall for. So, and I'm talking like hundreds of these, not just one super city. Thomas, I'm not suggesting one mega city where all the immigrants go. I'm talking 5 in each state that they come here, they get assessed, we find out what they're good at, what they're not good at, how many of them there are. We put in a department who then determines which city they're going to go to. You may not have they're almost enlisting at that point to become an American. And we tell them, you're going to go live in this part of Idaho, or Montana, or Nebraska, and then you're going to go there. We're going to get you there. You're going to get there. Once you're there, here's the job.
Well, I'm going to ask you this question.
You're going to be building roads. You're going to be washing dishes. You're going to be carrying stuff.
I'm going to ask you this question. If it's determined that whatever skill we assess that they have, or lack thereof, if we determine we don't need somebody, do we still take them?
If they're there and they're applying for the asylum, yes.
Well, yeah, it's
we
a tough.
make them a call center. We make them a answer phones. We make them a secretary. There's very few people in the world who can't be a secretary, or put them to work for maintaining that house, that complex that we just built. Help them, make them build the complexes themselves. Make them carry the concrete. Make them move the bricks around. Make them show up and put the Army Corps of Engineers in charge of building these housing projects, and make them help.
Well, it's a tough question because, like, I think
the other thing is that maybe is not being considered right now is construction pays pretty well right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, to be a construction worker is actually a fairly decent living at the moment. You do this, you bring in a whole bunch of people and say, you're going to be a bricklayer. You're going to do the cement mixing, and you're going to do XYZ. That is going to drive the wages in that sector down.
Because
it will. But the challenge is
that for cheap. Well,
there's also a huge supply gap. I mean, if we could
go ahead, doctor.
If we had, like, housing for 100 million, if we needed housing for 100 million new people in the next 10 years, I think there'd be a lot more demand for construction. It's hard. I mean, probably, yeah. If you had, a tenth of those 100 million people are going to go into construction, then it's hard to say if the wages would go up or down. But yeah, probably with the way construction is very unionized and in some parts and very regulated. It means that it's generally a very well paying job, considered for people that don't have college degrees. I mean, if you're gonna not have a college degree, construction is probably your number one direction to achieve the American dream, and that would be disappointing if that went away. If the people if people that didn't have that the capacity to go to college, the money or whatever, didn't really have a good outlet. That would obviously be a bad for maybe you could be a plumber, or just kind of construction, or some other tradesperson. But I think that actually it would bust the unions, and I kind of like that. But I'm not totally opposed.
Suggestion. I'm going to suggest,
yes,
Thomas, that it would do nothing to the labor market. It would not. It would be even. It would be neutral.
That's totally ridiculous.
Because there's no demand that these things get built today. There's no demand for it. If you create the demand and you supply all the workers, it won't change the labor market. In fact, I think it'll be better for those plumbers. It'll be better for those people who know how to build those, because we'll hire them to supervise these unskilled workers.
Okay, the demand is met. These people come in, they build their own houses and whatnot. Houses are built. Now what do we do with them?
Now what do we do with them?
That's a good point.
We paid them very little to build their own houses. 2, we start charging them taxes, and if they can't, they need a job to pay those taxes, so they're going to get jobs. Those people are now demanding goods and services. They're going to demand to be fed, and that's going to they're going to demand the food. So the food production has to go up. Somebody has to do that. This is an increase in all of our GDP everywhere.
But yeah, it's a good point that we have some ramp there of extra work for everyone to do while we're building the infrastructure to support this tremendous population change. But, then the question is, how would we plan to make sure that ramp can go off into flying rather than just crashing, and hopefully that's just kick the problem down the road. We'll just not worry about that for 10 years, and it'll be great.
What I was trying to make the point of is you train all these people, they do this job, they do the construction and whatnot, they build their own homes, the homes are built. These people still have those skills now, and what I'm saying is that these skills and the labor associated with them is a commodity.
Yes.
And what we have now is this is not going to increase. Like, that increase in demand is only there insofar as the housing that you're talking about building is not built yet. Once it's built, all that labor is still there, and we're going to have roughly the same amount of demand for that labor and those skills as we currently have.
Right, and I think that America is uniquely suited to having people change jobs in their life many, many times. If you tried to do this in Germany or like France or a lot of other places, people are gonna like, hey, I was a plumber when I was 30. Now I'm 40 and there's not enough jobs for plumbers. I'm just in trouble. And like, but in America, that's not uncommon to like go be a dentist when you started off being a plumber. That's something that's.
Pelkus just became P1 Cast, just became a follower. I appreciate it. You turned a frog gay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, P1 Cast. Yeah. Shout that out because that makes Amazon rich, and I like that.
And I mean, as far as Ukraine, we did talk about Ukraine earlier in the stream.
So, we're talking right now to Dr. Unstoppable, who has been a part of the community. He's been a good voice. He tells us his opinions, and then we brought him on to talk. So, if you want to do the same, be a good member of the community, go to the Discord and tell us what you're thinking.
Yep. And hey, Doc, you mentioned you have a stream of your own. Would you like to shout that out?
By all means.
Audience?
Sure, yeah. I mean, Dr. Unstoppable, actually, the main thing I'm working on is the political streamers group, or just political-streamers.com. And I'm trying to aggregate public information about people that do like to stream politics and put it all there on a one place that people can go and click on a button and probably find someone who's streaming politics now. One of the main goals of it is to make it so that people that like to stream politics that are human don't have empty rooms, and to discourage bot streamers, because I find that's a big problem on the Twitch platform. Is you have to wade through half or 3/4 of them are just random. No one's talking. They're just a feed, which is frustrating. So I haven't actually built the website yet. I've got the design doc. I've got some art that I've got working on. It should be up in like a week, but go to I could type that in the chat, is political-streamers.com.
Awesome.
Political-streamers.com. Okay.
If you could just like
now, this is
that
like
now,
when you say aggregating information about them, it's like their stream links and maybe their political positions and whatnot.
Stuff like political positions might be if I could get the information. Right now it's just the idea is that people that like to watch the streams can submit proposals to the thing, and then they just have to contact me in Discord once they've made the profile, and I'll go in and approve it. And that's kind of the technology level that I'm more into. I am a programmer and I know how to do this. I just don't have a lot of bandwidth right now to make a more complicated filtering system. So right now you just go to add a user and you put in their links and maybe a profile picture, and that'd be great to their political leanings, and then you contact me in Discord and I'll approve it. And the other thing that we do is events. If you want to have a discussion where you like have researched the topic and you go to Waldo Politics and say, hey, I really want to talk with you on Sunday at 2 p.m. about immigration, and then everyone like gets some slides or get some stuff together, that is going to be promoted at the top of the main page on this thing. So I'll post my script, my mock-ups in the Discord, in Waldo's Discord, and hopefully I think there could be a real use for this. Like I said, it's just aggregating information. There's no terms of service or agreement with the people on the thing. Hopefully not too many people ask me to take their names off of it, because it's just the way it is. I'm probably not going to anyway, but I don't know. I'm just thinking this is something that I need and that maybe be useful to other people as well.
Sort of like a phone book sort of thing where you can look
at phone book.
Okay, I think that's an interesting idea, because it is tricky. There's lots of politics to talk about, and you wouldn't know who's on what side and whatnot. And if you want to find somebody you want to disagree with, you could do that. If you want to find somebody you want to agree with, if you're in that mood, I think that would be interesting. So I appreciate you coming on and talk about it. What time's it's 12:15.
It's about that time for me.
It's about that time for me too.
Yeah, I'm about that time for me as well. So that's three votes.
Yeah. Dr. Unstoppable, I appreciate you coming on. Feel free to toss all that stuff into the Discord.
In general, or is there a different place that'd be better?
General's probably fine.
Probably fine. Yeah.
Well, can you do it twice in like different places? I don't know.
Toss it in there. It's not like the place is hopping. I'm still kind of small, so I appreciate you coming on and being a good guest. The first guest we ever had over a year ago, Thomas was fast enough to catch them and prevent them from screaming obscenities, but it was a thing.
Oh, good.
It was, God, I was like 2 months into streaming, and I was so excited that someone was into the chat, and I was like, oh my God, this is the thing. And they asked to come on board, and I was like, yeah, absolutely. And they just about got me canceled.
I've been there. I know exactly the people you're talking about, and I love them. I feel I want to love it. If you want to come in and like have your username, if you say it, it turns out you've just said a bad word. You're not supposed to say. I've had those people. I've actually been clipped saying an N-word I'm really not supposed to say unintentionally. But yeah, there's people who do that, and it's annoying. But it's just part of the job. You figure it out soon enough, quickly enough.
Excellent. So
anyway,
that's about it for me. Any closing statements on immigration from either of you guys?
No. Is that all? I look forward to the next discussion because I do have big parts that I'd love to flesh out more, but no closing statements.
Okay, great. All right, that's it for us today. I appreciate everybody who was in chat. Thanks for coming in. Thanks for becoming a follower. I don't know what to do about that raid. I got 200 robot followers, and I don't know what to do about that. I don't know if that's going to hurt me in some way. I'm going to have to go and research what happens when you get 200 faceless, nameless robot followers. So I don't know what to do about that. I don't know if it's going to jack up my metrics or if it was done viciously or maliciously or anything like that. So I'm going to go research that stuff. I'm going to eat some lunch. George Santos was way back then. Yeah, okay. KBP wants to come on as George Santos again. I appreciate everybody who was here. Thank you for coming in. And that's it for us today. Have a good day. Goodbye.